Hello everyone, and welcome back to Kristen's ASMR. I hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, depending when you're watching this video. So in today's video, at the suggestion of one of my subscribers, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a just soft-spoken ramble today about some of my funny or crazy stories in my life. My 31 years, I've had a lot of fun, a lot of interesting things happen. So sit back and listen to some of the fun stories from my life. I was gonna save, sorry, my ankle's bothering me. I turned my ankle the other day and it's still bothering me, but so I was gonna save the story that I'm gonna share first for the end, but I thought, you know what, we're gonna start off with kind of just the craziest story, something that I never thought would happen in my life, and it just all came together. So probably one of the craziest things that happened to me is that when I was 26, back in 2019, I was on the game show Wheel of Fortune. So that's just so cool, like that actually happened. So a little bit of background. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother growing up, and every night, this was like channel 8, from 7 to 7:30 we'd watch Wheel of Fortune, and then from 7:30 to 8 we'd watch Jeopardy. So as a child, there were 3 game shows that I really wanted to be on. One was Wheel of Fortune, the other was Jeopardy, the third was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So I really wish I'd applied to Jeopardy earlier, like the teen or kids tournament. Like, I've taken the Jeopardy test a couple times, haven't heard anything. It's kind of hard. So with Wheel of Fortune, what had happened is back in the spring of 2019, I had seen an article through like one of my local radio stations that, hey, the Wheelmobile was going to be coming to a college that wasn't very far from me during the summer. And if you're not familiar, the Wheelmobile is this big giant bus that travels around the country. I live in the US, and doing like a little simulated game. Now, if you're not familiar with Wheel of Fortune, I guess it'd be good for me to back it up. So the game of Wheel of Fortune, it's basically like a crossword puzzle that you fill in one letter at a time. You spin this giant wheel, and you call a letter. If you miss one, it goes to the next player. You spin, there's like bankrupt spaces and really fun like prize spaces and everything. So like I said, watched that a lot as a kid. So I was like, oh great, I'm gonna plan to go in June when they were gonna have this at the local college. So originally my boyfriend at the time was gonna come with me. I think they were gonna be there both Friday and Saturday night. Decided like Friday night was gonna be the best night to go. So the day of, it was a free event, which was kind of cool. So the day of, I checked with my boyfriend. He's like, nah, I'm tired. I don't really want to go. So like, that's okay. So I'm the type of person throughout my life, I don't mind doing things by myself. I've been to the movies by myself. I've taken myself out to dinner. It doesn't bother me. Like, I just kind of pretty independent, like to do my own thing. So would I have liked my boyfriend there? Yes, but it was whatever. So I get up to the university, college, and just kind of hanging out beforehand. You had to fill out these little sheets that had like your name, some of your interests, age, like all that stuff. And they were gonna be put in like this giant bingo thing, to be picked out. So for people to be called up on stage. So I filled that out, was kind of got there early just because I wanted to get a good seat. Then people started filing in, and as I as I was waiting, like there's this guy that came up to me, and like we were just talking. Like, I think he worked for like the local station that the show was on. So I was like, you were talking, good vibing, all that stuff. So then, go into the auditorium where the show is going to take place. I do have to sneeze, so I'm probably trying to do that quietly. So like I said, I was alone, so I just chose a seat. I think it was like 4th row in. Sorry, my cat just scared me. Chose a seat 4th row in. So I'm just sitting there, and like this woman comes along. She's like, "Oh, is this seat taken?" I'm like, "No, that's fine." So she sits next to me. And we get talking. She's a game show fan just like I am. And we made an agreement that if one of us made it up on stage, we'd like take pictures and like video or whatever of the other person on stage. So, and this is so crazy. So what they would do to call the people up on stage is they would turn that bingo thing that I mentioned, and they would pick out the little slips of paper that had the names on them. Let me just tell you, there were so many people. There were so many people that did not, they filled it out and they did not put their name at the top. Can you believe that? So then if that happened, they would just toss it out because they don't know who to call. So they were going to be doing like a few different rounds. People would come up on stage and you'd get a chance to probably say one letter. And then, then you just solve the puzzle and you get like a prize or whatever. So this was about, I think, the 3rd puzzle. They draw the name out and they say Kristen, which is my name. And it was me. It was my last name as well. Couldn't believe it. I was shocked. The lady that I sat next to, like, we were just looking at each other. We were so happy. So I go up on stage. So I went backstage and was waiting for like the crew before that was doing the puzzle to go. So it was one of the producers, and like they were just talking to us about like how, being fans of the show and stuff. So I am convinced that this one thing like probably really helped me eventually get to the show. So they're always looking for kind of like happy, bubbly people. And the producer had mentioned like he had been on Price is Right. That's another game show that I have wanted to be on. I would still like to be on. And he was talking about his experience on there. And we were just talking about some of our favorite games. And with Price is Right, Plinko, and the Cliffhangers game is one of my favorites. So like as we were talking, he's like, "Oh, like I think he got to play that game," and he was like, "Oh yeah, I got to play like the one with the guy going up the mountains," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, Cliffhangers, the yodel yo." There's like and I did that motion too. I'm such a dork. But yeah, so I did that. So I was like, kind of showed a little of my personality. So on the actual stage portion of the show, at this little wheelmobile event, I only called one letter. Didn't get to solve the puzzle, but that was so fun. Like the woman like took some pictures of me and on the stage. So it was like great. So they announced that a certain number of people that had been actually up on stage each of the 2 nights would get a call back to have like an actual like formal audition. And then there would just be some random people drawn. So this happened in June. It was like great, had a good time, didn't have any expectations. It was like, this is just a cool story as it is. Well, lo and behold, at the end of July, I get an email that I was one of the people selected to come for an actual audition. So this was going to take place in August of 2019. So when I drove, it was about like an hour and 15 minutes away from where I lived at this really nice hotel. So we get there, there's about like 50 something of us there. So what we do is like they had a written test that you take with the different puzzles. You'd have to try to solve within a timed time period, like before and after, places, things, proper name, all that. So we had that, and then we had just going around the room, like puzzles up on the screen, call letters, solve, all that. So the way it just worked, like they the way it worked with how like solving the puzzles was like, okay, like I got called on a few times, and the way it just worked out, it kept coming back to me. Like, I solved 3 of those puzzles, which so they got to see my puzzle abilities. I should have brought like my swag, but I won a Wheel of Fortune backpack, a t-shirt, and like a lunchbox from like solving those 3 puzzles. So that was cool. Like, they got to see my abilities, did the tests. Like, after the written test, they let like a certain amount of people go, and there was about like 25 of us left. So, you know, we did that. Like, I was in the final group of people that was still there, and they're like, the eligibility from these auditions is like 2 years, so anywhere from like a month from then to 2 years from now, you could get, hey, like, you know, come out to LA to film. So I'm like, well, that's cool. And like, there was a chance I wasn't gonna get called. You know, I went home. Like, that was a super cool experience. So this was happened at the end of August. This is just so crazy. Like, not even 2 weeks later, I got an email that they wanted me to come out to LA to film in October. Like, I was floored. Like, I just, oh my God. Like, I still can't even believe that happened. So, they don't pay your way out there. So that was a bit, you know, financially, like, to be like, okay, taking a flight out to LA. I do not live anywhere near LA, so that was gonna be crazy. But, you know, got the finances figured, got the trip booked, and I accepted. So in October of 2019, I flew out to LA. Yeah, and, you know, Culver City, like Sony Pictures Entertainment, to film an episode of Wheel of Fortune. So crazy. So, and I'm realizing this is definitely gonna be the longest story of the longest story I have to tell. So, you know, so we fly out to LA. I had to fly across like a couple time zones, so that was a little crazy. So we get into LA on a Thursday, and then Friday was going to be filming day. We were going to get picked up at like 7 a.m. from the hotel, which we did. You know, so I went with some of the other contestants that were also staying there at that hotel. You know, we get there, we didn't have like access to our phone or anything. And it was super cool. Like, we were in this holding room for the morning, like practicing puzzles and everything. Like, got to have like hair. Well, I had my hair already done, but do makeup. It was so funny. Like, I was 26 at the time, like I said, and the makeup artist thought I was like 18. So that was cool. Like, that was the first time I ever got my makeup officially done. Like I said, I film these videos in one shot, so I don't have the name tag. I will show the name tag that I still have in my my room in another video. Miss Vanna White popped in the morning to talk to us, just give us a pep talk. So they were going to be filming 6 shows that day, and I was show number 4, the first one after lunch. So that was cool. Like, we got to practice with the wheel. That wheel is so heavy. Like, that was amazing. So really, really cool to like see behind the scenes of like a TV show. Like, that was really cool. So it's funny because, you know, the group of us to be out there and film that day, there's another woman from where I'm from, and we were just talking, and like at the time I told her like my mom was here with me, and her son and daughter-in-law were there with her. And it was funny because it's gonna make me laugh. Like, she's like, I don't have any grandkids, but I have a grand boat. And like, that still makes me laugh. Oh, I've never heard someone say grand boat. But she was really sweet. Like, we were on separate filming shows, so I wasn't going up against her. But it was really cool because for the actual show, I was in the red position, which was right next to Pat. Pat Sajak has like the bluest eyes. Oh my god, it's so amazing. So on the show itself, there were a couple of the puzzles that I solved were like the speed round, the toss-up puzzles. So that was really cool. But a little bit of controversy. You know, I might have went a little viral because so when I was growing up, Wheel of Fortune didn't have this new crossword puzzle thing that they have now, which is, you know, it's a certain category, you have a certain number you have to fill in, and you have to read, when you solve it, the words on the puzzle, and not at and, you just read what's up there. So we had one of those puzzles. It was blank field. So in this round, I was getting all these letters and stuff. It was coming down to the end, and it was like, I'm ready to solve. So the clues were Sally, right, left, football. So I tell Pat, I'm ready to solve, and she says, okay, you know, don't add anything, you know, just read what's up there. So instead of saying Sally, right, left, football, I said Sally, right, left, and football. You can't add and. So lost out on the puzzle. Now, you know, this is a tape show, it's not live, but my heart dropped. I knew what I did wrong. Like, they tell you don't add anything, and what did I do? I added something. So yeah, that was a little crazy, but, you know, went on. I did win a little money on the show, which was great. But I never imagined, so I filmed the show in October. The show aired on November 21st, 2019. Yeah, went viral. Some people thought that, you know, was like, they should have given it to me anyway, which, I mean, of course, I added and I shouldn't have, so I know I did wrong. So yeah, you know, there's some news articles written out there about me and all that. But craziest experience of my life to say I've been on a game show. Like, I got to go behind the scenes of a TV show. Very, very cool. Like 2019 was like my year of yes. I started grad school that year. Was on Wheel of Fortune. That was so wild. So that's kind of my craziest story. As far as just some kind of funny stories from my life. So my first job was in retail, and we had like a really great environment there. Like, one of the bosses I had wasn't the first boss, but one of the bosses I had, I worked there a little under 5 years. Just this crazy guy, like, so funny. Like, he had a lot of funny stories. I was a little bit of a terrorizer, like, I was a little crazy. He hated spiders, so I would kind of scare him with spiders whenever I could. You know, working in retail, like, even now, like, it's August, a lot of places are getting their Halloween stuff out. What I would do, some of the Halloween decorations, like, he would be out on the floor, like, stocking stuff, would take one of the spiders, put it on the office door, and then he would go to the office door, go to open it, and he would, like, yell out, and he'd be like, Kristen. But, you know, I didn't get in trouble. Like, we had, like, such a cool environment, like, the coolest boss. It's like a team building activity. Like, he took us out to a play. This was really cool. At an opera house that we had. Super cool guy, but I had to scare him with the spiders. And like, we had these announcements we'd have to make, like, throughout the day about, like, special products and stuff. And you know, if he was, like, making the announcement, like, there'd be, like, these pool noodles, and I would, like, hit him in, like, the ear with it and stuff, and, like, he was crazy, but we were all crazy. We had a good crew. That was fun. Kind of crazy, like, Someone one time like brought their dog in and the dog pooped on the floor and they didn't want to clean it up. That wasn't great. I didn't have to clean it up, but one of my other coworkers did. Another time, the story's kind of gross, but like kind of funny at the same time. So I was working the register and my assistant manager was there. So like this girl came in with her friends and like she wasn't feeling well. She ended up like just puking all over the floor, and like that's not funny, but it was like this bright red, so I don't know what she ate, and I felt so bad. Like my assistant manager was cleaning it up, and like I would have helped her, but like I do not do well with puke, but she was like gagging the whole time. But that wasn't great. But I loved working there. Yeah. So this next story, I'm not gonna say the friend's name, but they know who they are. And I already told them I was gonna tell the story. One of my friends, when they were in high school and they were gonna be going to prom, this was their senior prom, they weren't gonna have a date, and they were like, they didn't really care. But they went with their friend to like a shop to like when he was gonna go get his like tux and stuff. So while he was waiting, he was like looking through this book and like different vest colors, and he was like to his friend, how funny would it be if I pick like the ugliest vest color, because he wasn't gonna have a date. So he's looking through this, there was like this orange and there was this terrible shade of green. Like if you have seen my CD like nostalgia video, there's a Chris Allen CD, that green that I started laughing at, that is the green. So he decided to go he's decided to go with that green. So, you know, and his other friend's like, yeah, whatever, picks that green. Well, he ends up having a date, and it's kind of funny because his friend's mom asked him if he would go with her daughter, which is kind of weird. So she tried to kind of figure it out with the dress, but that green, oh my god, that green is just terrible. It's so bad. Like every time, oh my god, every time we get talking and like he tells that story, it's so funny. So you know who you are. I told the story now. I'm giving you credit without saying your name, but you know who you are. Side note, I meant to talk about this before the video, but these earrings I got when I took a little trip a few weeks ago, and they say always find the light because they're little moths. So I think these are really cute. This was really fun. I had to get some tapping in. I'm trying to think. I think of like any other kind of like funny or crazy stories. Not a whole lot of like laugh out loud stories, but I'm trying to think. And this is another video like I might do again, because like talking about the Wheel of Fortune is kind of the main thing I wanted to talk about. And if there's any other like questions you have about that experience, like ask them, and I might do like another little mini video talking about them. That was so fun. I'm trying to think. Okay, a couple more like quick little stories. So my mom and I would play board games a lot growing up. So this isn't a board game, but Yahtzee. Yahtzee's a really fun one. Like you have these 5 dice and you have to get like these certain amount of categories, like, oh, in 3 rolls, like how many 6s or 1 through 6s you can get, a small straight, large straight, 3 of a kind, that type of stuff. So I'm fidgeting because this feels weird not tapping much. So I sorry, I lost my train of thought. So I was playing with my mom one time, and she was going through to see what she still needed on the Yahtzee card. And she's like, oh, you know, like I have my small straight and my large straight. And I said, do you have your George? And it took her a minute. And she's like, what? And I'm like, do you have your George? Like George Strait, the country singer. And I lost it. Like, you have to kind of know like country singers to get that joke, but like it was like just instantly, I'm like, oh, do you have your George? You got your small straight and your large straight? Do you have your George? So that was kind of funny. And then this is another story involving a friend of mine. Like, it's kind of gross, but it makes me laugh every time. One of my best friends also watches my ASMR sometimes. Shout out to you. You know who you are. So in college, she didn't have a car. So I was dropping her off at the local bus station at one point. So like we pull up, I go to let her out. Oh my god, I'm laughing thinking about it. So I go to let her out. She opens the door. She opens the door. And like I hear this noise, like this squish noise, and she's like, ugh. And I'm like, what? Well, at the bus depot, like there's a lot of pigeons. Well, it's kind of sad. Like she'd like stepped on a dead pigeon, but it's like she didn't know that she was gonna step on it. But just like, of all things, she could have stepped on a dead pigeon. Like, it was so weird, so weird. But let me think. Oh, okay. Well, I'm just kind of thinking and rambling. I'm like trying to think back. So as many of you seen, I have a cat. His name is Frankie. He is lovely. I have a bird named Vinny. Might show him in one video if I film in another part of the house where he is. But when I was younger, we had a rabbit named Twitchy. He was very cute. We would like bring him out and he'd hop around the house. Well, when I was a kid, I tried to give him like some of those like saltine crackers one time. And I was like, put it in front of him. He'd kind of like sniff it. And I did this like 3 or 4 times. Well, after the 4th time, and it was so funny. After the 4th time, he took the cracker and he went, ugh, because like, he just didn't want the cracker anymore. But you know, kids are persistent. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. You know, hopefully you found these stories kind of funny and fun to listen to. But yeah, my Wheel of Fortune story, definitely my craziest story. Like, hard to believe that's real life. It's gonna be 5 years since I was on the show in a few months, so that was cool. I'm glad I got on there while Pat was still there. But I hope you enjoyed my soft-spoken rambles, and I hope this video brought you sleep, relaxation, tingles, or great background noise for work or school. I will catch you all in my next video, and as usual, feel free to leave a comment with any future video suggestions. I do plan to film the like ASMR doctor role play. That'll be my first role play. So we'll see how that goes. Sometime in the future I'll film that. But yeah, leave any suggestions and I will catch you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.